Thank you all for coming out here. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Not a lot of people today, but I'm thankful. So before I get started, I'm reading two poems today. They're a bit long, so just bear with me, okay? So this first poem that I'm going to be reading is about my multiracial identity. I wrote this in the span of around 2021, 22 during the Stop Asian Hate movement. Basically, our elders were being beat down in New York, San Francisco, LA, Houston, Texas. And I wanted to write some poetry about that. So this is a new poem, and hopefully y'all enjoy it. The title is called Tightrope. Racial equity burns a bright sun among that veiled haze of shadowed aggression. We speak of a time where living in harmony is as foreign as the lies we tell ourselves are truths. And these violent brutalities perpetrated onto the weakest and most elderly of our communities are only considered systemic outliers, beaten out of us by design. Yet I toe the line between what is known and what becomes the unknown, to stick to one side of my identity rather than walking the tightrope for both. In the spirit for growth, I ask myself how I can find meaning in the world I live in after I lost my agency to exist within the interim and shine. I forced my whole life into that small suitcase of a mind. Cut out the ugly parts of my being, the ones too raw for the poor man's fleeting soul, and marched myself down the lane towards what society deemed as my meaning, ready to labor the fruits of my body to the stereotypes my existence exists to feel. My parents never taught me their native tongues, fearful of that social order where the ones with accents and broken English would end up with broken noses and bleeding wounds, traumatized from the memories of our past, from the sin of being different than the hegemonic majority so far from our own. And when my assailants came for my throat, I never cried for help or relief from their fists at the very least, because everyone knew that the system would never favor me. A system designed to grind down those tiny flaws, those kinks in the machinery that made the gears tick just a second too late, a machinery made to watch my life burn to pieces. Burn like a cross. Burn and be snuffed out. Burnt like ashes in the wind. Dissipated, gone into the ether. I treated my wounds in silence, knowing the word of the unjudged and the privileged lived favorably over mine, being thrown out of my naive innocence to endure the stresses of being too brown, too unfamiliar, too defective to shine. I never expected so much hatred could exist in a society built upon the freedom for those coming from the dredges and scum of the world to choose better lives than generations before, but I should have known that living my life as a gum at the bottom of society's shoe privies me to be that unlabeled eyesore. And in this gilded idea called freedom and security, I have only found myself a pawn to the habits of the many. And day by day, I have deal with the effects of this violent insanity. And equity continues to feel nothing more than a slip of paper upon that myth of equality, hidden far away under lock and key. So I seethe against this unjust world, for when, I ask, will I ever get to breathe? That's the first one. Thank you.